Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Usually Fixing and Tinkering, and today I am going to conduct a compression test. If any of you want to know how to do a simple compression test on your car to find out how healthy your engine is, this is the video to watch. I'm going to be carrying out on Project Ruby today because we have some work that will be taking place this coming winter after the show season, and I wanted to make some concrete readings of exactly where we are with this engine. I know that the compression is pretty low on this engine. I did a rough compression test ages ago, but that was kind of during the winter. Now the car's been driven a bit, done some servicing, oil changes and a few other bits and pieces, I want to know if the compression readings have at all changed. I doubt it, but it's a good basis to see where we were before the work was carried out and after. Okay, so there are a few other tests you can do. You can do a leak down test, and I'll probably end up doing that in another episode, but today it is a simple compression test. Now the first thing you got to do, start the car. Yep, and it's just warming up out there just a little bit, and you just want to make sure that the engine is at working temperature. Okay, make sure the engine gets to temperature, turn it off, and then we can start the next stage. Yep, the engine is almost to normal temperature, but we've just got to wait a few more minutes. But while that's continuing to warm up, I'll just show you everything that I have down here. Okay, we have a simple compression tester kit with a dial, a couple of adapters, some longer adapters, an angle one. I never use them, and this particular straight piece that I'm going to use today, it's not necessary on this engine, but it really does help. And I've bought this for it can be used for a lot of engines where the spark plugs are mounted deep in the cylinder head and not on the side like an old CVH. So like a Z-Tech, a Sigma, Rover K series, which is when I bought this. We're going to be using that, and we're going to attach this part to the end piece there, and this will just screw into the cylinder head, just hand tight, no more than that. And we are going to do, as per my list here, if you can see, we're going to do a dry test and a wet test. The wet test involves putting engine oil down the cylinder to see if it changes the compression reading. If it goes up, then that obviously means what we probably already know about this engine, piston rings, but that will be interesting. I didn't do this last time. Cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4. Cylinder 1 is obviously the one nearest to the time belt. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's most engines. Usually if it's an engine longitudinally mounted, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever. It's a straight 6, straight 4, etc, etc. Okay, so I've got my oil here, spark plug, wrench, bit of a rag, and yeah, got a pen. So yeah, let's see if it's up to temperature now. Yeah, it's getting there. Give it another minute. Okay, up to normal temperature. Okay, just be careful. It will be quite warm. Trying to pull on these leads. These leads are very, very tight. There we go. The tip is you've got to take all of the spark plugs out to do this test. Okay, and then we've got to disable the ignition system. Okay, we don't want the ignition. Now if you've got a car with an electric fuel pump like every other car since probably post 90s, take the fuse out for that. This car can't really do that because when the engine's spinning, the mechanical fuel pump is working, but that's okay because the ignition system has been completely disabled. Okay, and the next thing is air filter. We don't want the air filter restricting the throttle. This is half of what you've got to do. There you go, and just disentangle that. I've taken this off so many times recently. Okay, so the throttle is completely unrestricted. That's what we want, okay? Next thing, spark plugs. That's rather interesting, that is. All of these plugs, they all look exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they have a little whitish tip to them. I've got a feeling that indicates for definite that the mixture is a little bit on the lean side. However, number 3 looks like the electrode is a little bit more dirty on the inside. That might mean this could be the cinder that's causing the oil burning. Could be, we'll find out, but that's quite interesting. Might indicate that I need to richen the mixture a little bit, but we'll see. It's always a case of trying and seeing. But now all the plugs are out, we can now begin the compression test. We are warm, plugs are removed, ignition is disabled, and the throttle is completely unrestricted. Now, this is where we plug in our gauge. Right, just make sure that the gauge is fully attached to my straight adapter. Here's me. I'll use my right hand, and well, ideally you can actually do this before you actually attach this, but you just wind it in now. Okay, right, so we are attached. 0, just make sure you 0 it. Now, I can't really see from this angle what's going on, but I'm going to leave you here while I crank that car over 5 times. So basically, you want 5 compressions. You'll know when it's a compression, it will do zoom, zoom, zoom. Every one of them zooms, goodness me, I've made something up completely new in this episode. Do it 5 times, or 6, and then stop. Don't want to wear your starter motor out. And what you do also is you have your foot on the gas all the way down, okay? Full throttle, okay? Don't be scared, do it full throttle. I'm now going to leave you in the company of the engine bay in a rather nice place, so you can keep an eye on things for me and I can see what's going on. Okay, so just keep an eye on this and let's see what it produces. This is going to be interesting. Right, get in, left foot on the gas, all the way down, and 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's it. The engine spins over rather nicely there, and oh yes, I can smell a bit of fuel. Yeah, that's not ideal, is it really? That is a reading of about 75, we're in the middle really. About 84 psi, not ideal. Let's try again, just to make sure that we're doubly sure on our readings. .84 psi, that is not good. I tell you, this engine definitely needs a bit of TLC. Now, what we're going to do, if you might have observed, the gauge moved quite steadily. It didn't sort of stick. If it moves a bit slowly, it might indicate a sticking valve. If it moves rather quickly, it's usually indicates that it's the valves are pretty good. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it back out and do the wet test. Right, let's try and just squirt some in. There we go. Just, you can use a teaspoon or you can just use a bit of this. Not too much. There we go. Just a little bit. I'll put a few more squirts in from what I should have done. Now, screw the tester in, wait a few minutes, and we'll try again. Oh yes, okay, so as you can see guys, we have an improvement straight away. About 87, 88 Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it for a few minutes just to let that oil seep in, but I think we can confirm that the piston rings are not in the straightest bit of health. Usually it indicates wear, okay? This will indicate wear in the bore if the pressure increases, okay? That's increased compression. What that will usually mean is either your bore is worn or your piston rings are worn, or they're both worn. I'm hoping it's just a simple case of changing the piston rings and a slight rehome, a deglazing as such, because at the end of the day, this isn't a performance engine. And you know, one of the things that I'm going to be assessing is what sort of condition the bores are in, how much wear there is by using a micrometer and measuring, and then assessing whether we need a complete rehome machine job block. The engine block needs to go off to my machine shop and be completely rehomed in the shop, or rather I can do it at home with a simple rehoming tool. They are more deglazing tools than rehoming, but you can do it properly and you can do it with pretty good results. Yes, this indicates that piston ring number 1, not entirely great. Let's give it another shot. So we've managed to increase the compression to 90. Okay, I think that's the max that cylinder's going to do. So even with oil, it wasn't even at 100, but it's increased. Now, you just need to do all the other cylinders. So I'm going to repeat the same with all the cylinders, the dry test, then the wet test, and we're just going to see how we go, and I'll feed back the readings. But this is as simple as a compression test gets, and sometimes with some of these things, you don't want to know how good your engine is. If you've got an engine that works, doesn't burn oil, and runs smoothly, don't do this sort of test, because you're just going to find things that you're going to worry about. And most of you at home are probably not going to be willing to do a full-on head gasket rebuild and piston rings job. But because I'm now in the mindset of this is going to happen and I'm going to enjoy the process, yeah, there's a lot to improve with this engine. This is going to go like a rocket once I've finished, hopefully. Anyway, let's look at the other readings and see if they are equal. Honestly, I'm so sick of this weather. It's just started raining again. But I managed to do all 4 cylinders, and I have some interesting results. So, the dry test, number 1 to number 4, 84, as you saw. Number 2, 84. Number 3, 88. Number 4, 88. So all equal. So we have no head gasket issues. It's all equally warm. Wet, the wet test, cylinder number 1 jumped up 6 psi to 90. Number 2 went, and it not only jumped up, it shot up to 120. Huh? It's possible I did put a little bit too much oil in the cylinder. That would also affect the results. So try and get the amount of oil that you're putting in quite equal. I was a little bit thorough with that one, so that might have affected the result, but nevertheless it's more than the other one. Cylinder number 3 didn't change a bit. It's still 88 after the wet test. That's rather interesting. So maybe, well, cylinder number 3, therefore, it doesn't have any piston issues, according to that, because the actual oil didn't make a bit of difference. Or is it because it's so worn that it really didn't make any difference anyway? I'm not sure about that one. Cylinder number 4 has gone from 88 to 99. So, what can we conclude from that? Well, certainly we've got worn piston rings, hence the blue smoke. I think we can conclude that the burning issue is piston rings, and I am going to have to change them. That's fine. We'll sort that out in the winter. So now I know where I stand. That's the baseline. Can I improve Ruby's engine over the winter? I certainly can. Whether it be higher compression, I don't know. Probably. I don't think there's. You can have worse engines. I've seen engines with worse, but I've seen better engines. It's interesting to see. But anyway, I'm going to leave you be. A simple compression test, and you can find out what you really don't want to find out about your car engine. Sorry about that. Take care, guys.